Hello and welcome to the Thicc Men Podcast. This is the gaming podcast consisting entirely of thick people. Today I'm joined by Dom Manero and Seeb. Their information can be found in the description of the video. My name is Random, and I'll be the host this episode, and probably every episode. Anyways, let's get right into it. Topic for today is gaming addiction.
Oh boy.
All right. Okay, guys. So what is gaming addiction? What do you guys think? What's your prediction?
Basically, when you play, how to say this? When you play games so much to the point where you want to stay in the game to the point where you're willing to hurt yourself, like by starving yourself or like keeping your eyes open at 4 a.m. and your eyes are already bloodshot. You're like, it's okay, Mom. I have 20 kills in the storm. Goodbye. That's what addiction is to me.
I mean, I agree, and I mean, my 2 cents is I think it's just whenever you use gaming to fill any kind of void, so boredom, not having friends, things like that, and then it gets to a point where, like he said, you're sacrificing your health.
Yeah, or if you have a shit bucket underneath your chair and you use that instead of the actual bathroom.
So the South Park episode.
Yeah. Or Battlefield Friends.
So did you know gaming addiction is it's officially a thing? It's gaming addiction disorder. It's classified the WHO on the 2nd of January 2018, or at least that's when the article was written. So at least sometime before that. But yeah, so they did that, and it's basically just like any kind of addiction. It's where you do something so much to the point where it conflicts with other parts of your life. So if you're in high school and you play games to the point where you just don't do any homework and then you fail stuff, that's what gaming addiction is, and classified the WHO. But yeah, so let's talk about also some things. So in games like CS:GO and now Fortnite, CS:GO is kind of irrelevant at this point. There's crates and stuff, right, that you can pay money for.
Yeah.
So if you've got if you're spending all this time playing the game, you're and you get these crates, I feel like that's a really bad combination where you can have gambling addiction and gaming addiction in the same spot.
Oh yeah, double whammy.
Have you guys gotten crates? Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I think I'm more of a casual gamer than the both of you, and so I guess to kind of play devil's advocate, I don't see how loot crates and in-game purchases are necessary. I don't think those are the problem. I think the games themselves, because they have people with psychology degrees come in there and think about how the game can be quote unquote more enjoyable and stuff like that. So for the sake of discussion and maybe, for the people who don't know much about this, can y'all kind of tell me about what motivates you to buy a loot crate in the first place? Because as far as I know, a lot of it's just cosmetic, right?
That's true.
So it's I see it being good for the developers as long as you're not EA or something like that, because they're getting money. And Guild Wars 2, they went to right before their second expansion pack to the game, they went to a add-on whatever DLC model where you just buy things to have in game. Same with Skyrim, and you never hear about people oh my god, I can't move, bring the bucket, it's time for a bowel movement. It's just people do it normal. So what's the issue? Is it the DLC or the add-in options, or is it the studios are not being a responsible corporate citizen and making a reasonably balanced game?
I think the problem is that companies like EA, their love for... There are some companies, I want to say I think CD Projekt Red did Witcher. Their DLC was amazingly valued, and it was a lot of fun for the fans. It wasn't a waste of money. And
yeah,
I think fans, they will honestly pay anything as long as it's fun and they believe it matches the value of what it's worth. For example, one of my favorite games, Batman Arkham City, they had a DLC release for just a whole new adventure, a whole 2-3 hour long DLC, and I paid, I want to say $10-15 for it, and honestly it didn't feel that steep for having content lasting that long, because the main game took I think 7-8 hours to finish, and paying maybe $10 or so just to get an extra 2-3 hours, I felt that was way worth it, and I was totally satisfied with it. But if the company was pay $10 extra and you can see Batman in a swimsuit, I'm that's That's what EA feels like to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's the problem, that it's not worth the value, and they're like, we want more money. Let's like charge V-Bucks for having an extra cape on their Fortnite costume. Woo! And then, so that's the problem. Like balance of what's like fun and the game and what's worth how much money it is.
So let me ask you this: like stepping outside of the like person to game dynamic for gaming addiction and like having control over it, like let's kind of think about like community to game. So when EA released like the Battlefront 2 demo or whatever, they did the open beta and they came out with, if I recall correctly, it's essentially like a random loot. It's basically like you pay money for the chance to get something worthwhile in game, which, you know, the rest, I think the EU said that's tantamount to gambling. You can't do that. And then, you know, EA tried to justify it in a comment or something in the world, downvoted the crap out of it.
Yes,
and
that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was Reddit. I downvoted that.
Yeah, so did I. That was the best downvote of my life. Like downvote well spent. But like, so is it really, like, again, playing devil's advocate, is this really that big of an issue, do you guys think? Because it seems like the communities around a game, if they care about the title, they'll do something to control the quality of the title. Be that like with Fallout, you have, as far as I know, that's a third party. They went out and made Fallout Miami, so that's just a mod you're gonna download or what have you.
I saw that trailer. It's fucking good. It looks better than
Right?
76.
Right, and then same with EA, so kind of from a different perspective, if you're not making content, then you're telling the studio, look, that shit's not okay, and if you keep doing that, we're not going to buy the game. And EA eventually backed off.
I think part of the problem, too, is like the age group that a lot of these games that have crates are, like in Overwatch and CSGO and Fortnite. They're all like
10,
like preteens kind of thing. You know, like every once in a while you encounter somebody that is like obviously prepubescent.
Mom, give me your fucking credit card now. I need it.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's like these kids, they play, it's like, oh man, I want this cool new thing, right? Can I get it? And so they go and ask their parents. And their parents are like, oh, isn't he cute? And they buy stuff. You know, it's like asking for candy when you're a kid. Yeah. And so their parents are like, yeah, okay, let's do it, right? And then it just gets to the point where they're spending money that probably shouldn't be spent because they're young. And I think games are kind of like doing the ripping off children.
Well, okay, but when is it the parents were okay? Because like I don't know how it was for y'all when you were growing up, but like my parents were like, do it because we said so, and they never told me like why. They had a rule. So is it a shortcoming in parenting nowadays that parents either like absent-mindedly like just give them the credit cards, they can go do whatever, or you know, is there kind of some responsibility on the parents to be like, look, man, you know, I can see on your, like, because Windows has a lot of things you can do to track your kids' time. You know, I can see you're on the computer for like whatever 6 hours after school, right? You get home, you play this game. You're spending too much time on it. I don't like it. If you keep doing this, you know, you're going to lose your computer privileges, or we're going to change your Steam password so we can start controlling it. Like, why is it doesn't seem like, is this such a new issue that we're just basically like, oh crap, this is a problem, and we're not considering like the players involved in it? Like,
well, don't you think my parents were not like, my parents are like kind of cool where they just kind of didn't. I did my own thing, and they were like whatever. And I don't know. I feel like that's going now. I think parents are getting more and more helicoptery, and not allowing that to happen. But I don't know. Like for me, I was totally allowed to play all the games that I ever wanted. Right now, and I feel like that happens with kids today.
Well, if that's true and parents are more helicoptery, then why do you think gaming addiction is such a big deal? Because as far as I know, the gaming addiction we're worried about is either like lonely middle-aged men or young children. So if parents are helicoptering, why aren't they doing more to tell their kids, like, look, chill out on this?
Yeah, I think it's the opposite. In my opinion, random. Like, I think parents are becoming way more lax and like not really sure how to handle their kids because they don't want to take the time to learn what's going on in the game. Like my parents, growing up, whenever I wanted a game, they would like, let's say it's like Call of Duty, like a shooting game, whatever. Before they'd buy it, like they'd be cool buying it, no problems. If they kept my grades up, whatever. But they would say like, you know, it's just a game, right? I'm like, yeah, I know it's a game because they're also super religious too, so they're like worried about exposing me to violence. Like, this is all fake. You know that like just because you see a tactical knife in the game and you can teabag a guy 5 times, you're not going to do that in your middle school, right? I'm like, I won't. They're like, okay. Like, all right, fine. Dom knows he's not an idiot. He knows it's just all made up, and those kids on TV shooting schools, they're morons. So we'll get in the game. As long as he doesn't internalize it, we're cool with it. And that was just the rule with every mature game I got. But if it was something like simple like Sonic the Hedgehog, I'm not going to like get red shoes and run 200 miles an hour and like beat up a bunch of robots. They know that it can't be possible. It's a kids' game. It's like, okay, fine, you can get that game, whatever. Whenever something mature like that, they would make sure to internalize it. But in terms of like spending stuff, like DLC and everything, they would ask me like, what's so important about this DLC that you need to have? Like, what's so interesting? And I drew my best to explain most like give an analogy of some sort. Like I would say, for example, Batman, like Batman Arkham City. Like, okay, let's say, Mom, you're watching, or I would say like we're in a car, right? It's like an old car, and I'm going like 40 miles an hour. It's as fast as I could go. Let's say in this magic world, that's as fast as I can go. And in the game,
this
like,
is how you explain DLC to your parents.
I had to.
This is hilarious. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I had to explain in a way they would understand it because if I couldn't, they'd be like, I don't get it, so sorry, son, we're not going to get it for you. So I'm like, okay, Mom, let's say we're going on a trip to Vegas. 40 miles an hour is the most we can go. And there's a lot of epic like detours to see, like a Grand Canyon, or you can look and see like a kangaroo jumping around or a snake fighting with a snake, whatever. And there's like a set path, like that set freeway, right? It's like, yeah, this DLC, imagine it as a detour into Narnia for at least 2 hours. And it's worth $10. And I think it's way like higher value, like I think it's definitely worth the money. So you get to go through Narnia, do whatever you want, hang out there for a bit, and go back anytime you want to that main road. So would it be okay if I just had $10 just to go to Narnia just for a bit and then do whatever I want? And they're like, is this like a one-time thing? I'm like, yeah, there's a season pass for it too, just in case I want to get more trips to Narnia or Middle Earth or Wakanda on the way through, right? So you could either I told my mom straight up, like, the way is she's like, what's a season pass? Like, okay, either I keep asking you like $15 every single time a new detour opens up, or you pay maybe like $20 right now, and every single detour that opens up, I don't have to ask you anymore, and you save like, I want to say, half the price compared to me asking every time. He's like, oh, okay, that sounds way better. Okay, fine, we'll do it. And then that's what we did. So I had to explain it like that every time to my parents in a different way possible in order to make them understand what it was worth. But if it was something cosmetic, like, I don't know, like PlayStation
gun
Home,
skin.
or like gun skin, yeah. And like, she's like, okay, what does this DLC do? What's so cool about it? I'm like, okay, this costs like $2, and this one, if it's something simple like a gun skin, like, you know how guns have different camos and everything? She's like, yeah. And my mom actually had military training, so she knows what camos, and she's handled weapons before. And then she's like, okay, so what about it? It's like, well, I kind of want to see what a new skin looks like. This red tiger camo looks cool. She's like, does it help you in the game at all? I'm like, no, but it looks awesome in the kill cam. She's like, are you sure you want that?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I start thinking about it. I was maybe like 10 or 11 at this point. I'm like, you know what? I don't. She's like, okay then. But she's like, think about it. If you really, really want it, if it looks that cool, think about it for a week and come back to me. And if you really want it, then we'll get it for you. Otherwise, I don't think it's a good idea. I'm like, okay, you're right. And then I ended up not wanting it. Or sometimes if it looked really damn cool, I'm like, I kind of do, but I won't ask for another cosmetic thing for like several weeks. And she's like, all right, fine. So my parents are super reasonable about it.
Yeah, that's good parenting. See, I think parents now are like, they're more overbearing, but they're also less
they don't
responsible.
Like, they're like, okay, kid, you can do it. I don't know what this Fortnite craft whatever thing is. You just do that. So I'll let that be my babysitter for the next 8 hours or so. Then I'll get mad later. Okay, have fun, son. Bye.
Well, I was gonna say. Okay. So there was I work as a swim instructor, right? So I deal with parents all the time because I have to like deal with them for their kids, and so I always get like the new kids, the young kids that are like super afraid. They're crying. They go to their parents. So I don't know if it's changed because I've not been an instructor for too long. But like parents now, if their kid starts crying, they are not gonna they're not just gonna leave their kid. They're gonna come and save their kid, right? But I feel like the parents used to just drop them off and leave them, and like they're crying. So
in the deep water, right? They're like, "Man up, son, you can do it. Walk
but
it
it's not,
out."
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you all this though, right? So millennials are in their 20s-ish now, so they're starting to have children, which probably means that the people who have children right now, we're basically at a point where like the tail end of the 80s, like people are starting to have their kids and they're coming up, and now the 90s decade of people are starting to have their kids. So like, are these parents like, yes, they're more aware. They're like, well, crap, now cell phones are a thing, computers are, crazy and expensive. Like, you can run Fortnite on a $500 Dell computer, which, I mean, I don't know if the experience is still the same for a bunch of other people, but as soon as I hit 6th grade, I got like a commodity laptop, right? Something for me to like screw around on and do homework with.
Wow.
So it's like,
what a guy. I didn't get my phone until 9th grade. Like a phone
as
at
soon
all.
as 9/11 happened, I got a cell phone. I had to check in everywhere.
Shout out to 9/11 for getting.
Yeah, right.
Oh no! Oh no!
That was so bad. But my thing is this: it's like the gaming companies know what they're doing. Their job is entertainment through video games, so obviously they're going to spend time trying to figure it out. Now, EA makes like really shitty games, and they rely on like tricks and such to keep us hooked on them. Mm-hmm. Kids, if you're a 10-year-old, you could be the smartest little 10-year-old there ever was, but you still don't really know what you're doing and how you're being manipulated by this. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
when you're a kid, you're like, money's like whatever, or like, actually when I was a kid, I was like, you have $1, damn, you're rich. But nowadays it's like, it's just a plastic card that my mom puts in and pays for everything, whatever.
Yeah, and so it's like, what is a parent supposed to do nowadays to even learn about these? Like, yeah, it's cool. Like, the World Health Organization put out an article saying, look, we think this is a thing now. This is why. This is how we're classifying it. Who's affected, like to what you were saying earlier, Random. So, clearly it's not like they're without resources, but it's like, what's the reasonable way for parents to learn about these things and like come up with controls for it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, because the thing is parents want their kids to be happy, right? So with my parents, whenever I would get a new game, it's like, it's like I'm jumping up and down. It's like, oh, this game looks really cool. Can I get it? And so they'd always get the game, right? But then at the same time, they're like, you need to spend less time playing games. And it's like, okay, well, hold on a second. What do you want, right? Because they're giving mixed signals. And I feel like parents always are going to do this because they're going to be like, I want to make my kid happy, but like I also want them to be healthy. But if the game makes them happy, like what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to kind of draw a line and be like, okay, it's not actually making them happy.
Is that the solution then to gaming addiction? Is parents who can draw lines?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Oh snap! We have a thesis, and we're only 20 minutes in.
Bam. Well, that's okay because we're going to talk about escapism next.
Oh yes.
Okay, because escapism, huge, right? Like, I think a lot of gamers start off because they're like, I'm not really enjoying, like, they get bullied or something, and they're like, you know what, I need to spend some time away. Like, I just need to take a break. And so they hop onto the game, maybe Skyrim, get into a nice world, and then they just enjoy themselves for a second and escape reality, right? And so this is what escapism is.
Mm-hmm.
And, it would happen with, like when you're reading a good book or anything, it can happen there and stuff.
Escapism doesn't only just happen in games. It happens in, like, everything.
Yeah. Everything,
Society looks down at some things more than others. It's like, sure, I use video games to escape my problems, but some dude uses child porn to escape his. So who do you think's cooler?
Why? Let's see. That was so unnecessary, Dom. Okay, continue though. Continue.
Yeah, but like, okay, I shouldn't have said maybe like reading a good book. Sorry, but, like,
a good book. Okay, that's a lot different.
But yeah, some people like how do I say this? I think escapism, it's definitely normal. I think it's okay to happen, but
for sure.
As long as you're going in knowing I'm going to get back out there, I think that's okay. It's like whenever I play a game and I had like a rough day at school, like I just need at least 2-3 hours to like get my mind off things, and I'll go back to doing whatever is important I was doing outside of the game. But if I'm going in there, it's like life sucks forever. I'm going to stay in Skyrim until I get a platinum trophy. Woo! I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there are also, like, I remember late last year, I forget the guy's name, but he wrote an article about how Minecraft helped him through his depression and stuff like that. But he was also kind of saying, So like I think on the point of escapism, it's a two-sided coin. It's like, for people who are like socially awkward, like, okay, when I was younger, I was like really fat. I couldn't like move much. I sucked at talking to people, whatever. But then like I found out about World of Warcraft and I was good at it, and it was really easy because we all more or less look the same in World of Warcraft. And if you're good at raids, people are like, bro, friends list right now. And so it was like really easy for you to build up friends and learn how to socialize and stuff like that. I just think part of that, like the other side of that coin is while yes, that was awesome for me, because to be completely honest, that's how I learned to start talking to people and like come out of my shell. But the other part of that was, there was nothing like it at the time, and it was really colorful, and it was only $15 a month, and like you were saying, it's not really hard to, if you tell your parents like, this is what I really want and it's really cheap, they're like, dude, $15 a month and I have a babysitter and I don't have to worry about my kid and he'll be at home. Done. So it's like, it was easy to get into. It did have benefits, but at the same time, it was hard to get off of because, speaking from my experience, it was kind of hard for me to translate the lessons I learned from that to normal people life, because I guarantee, like the neckbeard culture people like to say exists. Yeah, it's like those kind of people are in the game. So like, while we're all kind of commiserating, we feel the same way. It's, not everybody's a neckbeard. So
they won't, but some people won't be able to tell the difference. They're like, you're an honorary neckbeard. I don't know what you're talking about, nerd, and move on. But I guess the gaming has a lot of positive things for me too. Like, for sure, I was the same way. Actually, in middle school is when I first got into COD Modern Warfare 2. And I was always I was a very shy kid, and I used to think cursing's like, oh no, the Lord wouldn't like that, so I refused to do it. So until I got into COD Modern Warfare 2, and I used to actually be really nervous at that game, so I thought guns were scary at the time. I didn't like the loud sounds, but then I took down a dude. I'm like, this isn't that bad. Shot another dude. Oh, that's cool. Shot another dude. I'm like, I'm 2 away from the nuke, and I died. I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, oh no, Jesus is gonna smite me now. I'm like, you know what? That wasn't that bad. Cursing is just a self-expression. And then I started learning to talk to more people because some people were cool. Like, hey, man, we're like a search and destroy. You go around, I'll cut left, we'll be fine. Because I think back then, before party systems were a thing, you literally were just forced to talk to randoms. So, and then, until you muted them or until they got annoying, whatever. But back then, I would do my best to make friends with whoever was there and just try to work to get the game, to win the game any way possible. And if we were both cool about it, and then I thought they were awesome, we'd add each other and just meet up again. And then it opened me up to talking to more people at school, or if someone started cursing at school, I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's what's up. I wouldn't be like, oh no, Lord Almighty, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it opened me up out of my shell, and I think I became better at talking to people just because of games. And if I didn't, I'd probably be more of a shut-in until way later on and just would refuse to talk to people, because I used to get really stressed out trying to figure out how to get a person or a friend to really like me that much. I'd try really hard, what are they into? I'm into that too. Oh, really? That's good. And I'll try this list of different shit. And I realized, just say what you want. Just, if they're being a dick about it, don't accept it, or accept it just to move on if you're never see it again.
Let it roll off.
Yeah, or let it roll off. But if they're cool, then be cool back, and then treat others the way you want to be treated, but speak your mind. And then that's how I rolled through life. Here I am, talking about sex bots and stuff.
And so one other thing I'm curious about, so both of y'all came up on multiplayer shooter games, right? So ish. So did it not make it easier for you to become better friends with the friends you already have? Because I noticed for me, zombies was the thing, in my life when I was younger. And so, yeah, right. And we would all, we would come on at a certain time on Saturday, and we would all just be teasing each other for sucking at a round or something like that, and just basically learning how to work together in the game made us better friends outside of the game, because we learned how the other person thinks, and then we also learned how to communicate with them better earlier. So I'm wondering, have y'all ever experienced that as a positive side to gaming?
Yeah, actually, my closest friends ever, are actually, I've never met them in person before. Around that middle school, high school time when I got really into multiplayer shooters, I stuck with a certain group of friends all those years throughout, like, I want to say like halfway through college, but now we talk once in a while. But I was closer to them than any of my real life friends at school. And then, because I think it's because I literally, even though I go to school for like 6 hours, 5 hours tops, I probably spent more time talking to those friends in other states and everything more than my real life friends. So at first that really bothered me. It was like, wow, my closest friends are people online who I've never met. And then I started thinking about the people around me at school. I'm like, I've never had really a chance to like bond with them over killing zombies or teabagging some dude who was talking shit over the mic. Or friends could be from anywhere. It doesn't matter. The friends are still friends. So I began to accept it and be more cool with it. I was like, yeah, whatever. I have friends in real life who are more or less acquaintances, but my best friends are online. And as long as we both like each other, we're cool with each other, we work together, it doesn't care where they're from. I don't care where they're from at all. And that's all that matters.
And do you think these friendships that happen online are less than to like IRL friendships, or
less than? No, honestly, like there's some positives and negatives to both. Like I want to say like a plus is if you're talking with someone online, people are like less shameful, or in my experience, like they're willing to speak their mind about anything. So I feel like there's a great met online. And I think since we're all anonymous, technically, they're free to speak their mind. And I felt like a greater sense of trust. The only few negatives I could think of is like you can't read their face because, of course, you're not seeing them in person. So you just have to figure out everything by their voice. Like you can't tell if they're being sarcastic or if they're rolling their eyes when they're hearing about your story of whatever. So sometimes it might be harder to read them, but honestly, I think they're both awesome. I mean, in real life, people are the same way. Like they could say one thing, mean another, or they would like look at you with a certain face, but they're thinking of something else. But honestly, online, I think it's just equally as good. I mean, yeah.
So
I was talking for a while.
And like the last question I'll ask, and I swear to God, I'll just like chill. But yeah, I'm just really curious. It's like games teach us how to, personally, they teach us how to strategize. They teach us how to manage resources. They teach us how to work with other people when you're playing things online. And then, they do weird things like make our reflexes better or like make us more decisive, if you're playing a real-time strategy game or something like that. So it's like, if gaming is teaching us all these things, then why, because like it's so weird. We're learning resource management, which is a form of self-control, because you're like, nah, fam, I'm going to wait 6 hours and save like the however many gold I get from these generators to buy like whatever. So that way I can like move my civilization on to the next level and just be done with it. So like you learn, like I'm just kind of speaking like a Sid Meier's or StarCraft, whatever. So like you learn that, and yet what are we missing, or why don't we learn the discipline for outside of gaming? Like how is it that we don't learn when to put the game down?
Are you saying like why don't we put the game down at all?
Well, I'm just saying we learn a lot from gaming. Part of that is related to discipline and self-control, and yet it seems like the one area that we don't have the discipline and self-control, even though those two traits are being reinforced by a game, is with discipline and self-control when it comes to the game itself. So it's like, how is it that we're learning these lessons from the game, yet we find ourselves strangely unable to apply those lessons to our life when it comes to putting the game away?
I think I'm trying to get it. You're saying like we learn lessons and skills from the game, but people have problems applying that to their actual life. Is that what you're saying?
Not to the game specifically, the game compartment of their life. Like they learn the lesson to wait and delay gratification and stop doing something for a minute in the game, and yet they can't do that same thing when it comes to wait, don't play the game, go hang out with your friends, and then have your icing on the cake later of a good experience with your friends in real life, and then 2-3 hours of zoning out at home to your favorite video game.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think that's like the game's fault. I feel like that's just people, no matter who you are. But in terms of like balancing that out, it's a struggle for people who are really getting into it or not. Because too much of a good thing can be bad, as always. Like I guess if like the way we see it, like games could be awesome, it could teach us a lot of things. But if we stay in it too long, or we let our lives get absorbed by it, we know that's bad. Some people have problems figuring out the difference between the two, but honestly, the only thing they could really do is just keep going at it and then seeing what kind of negative experiences they lead up to and then learn from those lessons. Like, I remember the first time I tried Skyrim, I was in it for like, I thought I was only playing for like 3 hours, but it was the morning I first started. It was light outside. And then I played and I'm like, okay, I'll save right here. And I'm like, where'd the sun go? And then I'm like, oh my God, I was playing for like 10, 11 hours. I'm like, I shouldn't do that. And then I learned not to do that anymore, and I literally set a watch next to me just to remind me, "Hey, bro, time to eat." And then I learned from it. So I think that's the only thing people can really do best if they don't already have like that amazing self-awareness.
That was
from the
me
get-go.
with World of Warcraft.
I don't know how much self-control like you actually learn from games though. Like I don't know, because I can do resource management games, but I'm still bad at like managing my diet and all this kind of stuff, like delayed gratification. Like I don't know. I feel like it's not the game stuff doesn't apply like in the same way that math doesn't apply to real life. Like
Depending.
gaming resource management. Well, okay, it doesn't.
I use addition to add how much like food I want to eat, bro.
That's yeah. It's like, ooh, if I have 1 apple here and 2 apples later, I ate 3 apples. Bam, that's math. No, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's not too applicable. Like a lot of the I feel like the skills that are really applicable are like interpersonal relationship skills. So like talking to people. Is that the right word? I think interpersonal is.
Yeah.
fine.
You're right.
Okay, because like you play these games and you have to like you're forced to work together to complete whatever. So I feel like that skill is increased, but I don't know how much like resource management. And especially sometimes people don't actually play resource management games, like they just play shooters. So
Yeah,
that's
it also
true.
depends what kind of game you do play. I mean, if people, let's for example, the Fortnite kids, like sure, their timing is amazing, their reflexes are awesome, their speed is just great, but maybe they're not the best communicators if they only go solo. It's like they're only talking to themselves, so whatever. But when I was growing up and playing games, I would try to diversify it. Like, and I want to try different types. So if I gotta have so much fun in this game, I wonder how much fun I'd have in this type of game. And then, for example, that's how I got into fighting games a lot, like Injustice 2, Mortal Kombat, and everything. That game taught me to like manage like certain resources, like the meter in the game, or how much energy a character has. Or it would teach me like that patience is a good thing to happen, because if you rush in too much and the other enemy player like catches you off guard, it's like, oh, I know he's gonna rush into me and I'm gonna catch him, haha. So I had to adapt my ways to make sure I don't get hit on accident, or be patient, or rush in at the correct times, or when to try to trick them, when to go in for all damage. And then because of games like that, or like puzzle games like Portal, for example, like that game taught me there's always a way out of most problems. You just have to look hard enough and think hard enough, and then sometimes in real life I'm like, I don't know how to do this damn math problem. Algebra 2 sucks. And then I look through it and I'm like, oh wait, there's a thing I could do right there. This variable goes over here, and then eventually figure it out. But sometimes it would take longer than other problems to do. But yeah, I think different games see different things, and hopefully most people will find the value in different types of games that could help them apply lessons or skills to their life. Yep.
Gotcha.
I think just doing anything you can learn stuff. Like you read a book and you learn like I'm talking about like fiction or whatever. Like you learn stuff just because of the theme. So you learn morals or whatever. Like reading Ready Player One, that was really applicable to my life.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh no, the book.
Oh, okay.
It was originally a book. Yeah, that's actually a really good movie. One of the main themes is escapism, where it's virtual. It's like a virtual reality world where the whole world just kind of lives in this virtual world trying to accomplish a task. Yeah, it's really good.
Yep.
You should read the book or watch the movie. Not both.
I think the movie's better than the book, in my opinion.
Yeah, don't do both. Choose one, because I think they're like, if you think they're the same, you're kind of wrong, because they're a lot different from each other.
Or do both. It's a free country. Up to you.
Don't do both.
Well, I'm American.
It's not a free country. No.
So you have mine if you're the only one.
Yeah, you can.
Whoa.
I really like the book. I think the book was probably better than the movie. I don't know. But like the movie was really good. I think the only reason I didn't like the movie is because I was expecting kind of like a replica of the book. And it just
No.
and I think that's why like I still don't like I don't like it, but I think it was a really good movie probably.
Yeah, that's always tough with movies versus books. I would always if I know there's a movie coming out and it has a book on it, I would refuse to read the book until after the movie because I know most of the time the book has way more like pages and extra little time to explore the characters, explore the plot that you can't fit into a movie. So most people who are watching movie like that book was better. I'm like, you shouldn't have read the book first. Haha.
Yeah, that's how I felt about Ender's Game.
Exactly. So if I watch the movie first, I'm like, that's not that bad. But then you read the book, you're like, oh, this is way better. It's kind of like a bonus, pretty much
like a DLC.
Like a DLC.
It's like if you're driving to Las Vegas and you got you can only go about 40 miles per hour maximum, but there's all these like extra detour stuff.
Exactly.
That's
pretty
the
much.
book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you didn't realize there was an ice cream stop in the book, but in the movie there is no ice cream at all. You're just stuck with fudgicles.
Exactly. What are they doing?
Yeah, it's just so movie first before book. That's always my rule, if I can.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Ready Player One was just good. Like the whole thing. I really like that.
I like the changes they made, especially with the coin. That's spoiler alert. I'm not gonna say anything.
All right, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about for the for the podcast. So I was just going to talk about we already kind of talked about this a bit actually, just by accident. But, like the generation of gamers. So everybody growing up now plays games, or like a lot of people play games. It's kind of like the cool thing to do almost at this
normal.
Point. Yeah, there you go. It's normal. So is that like? What do you guys think? Is that going to be like a good thing, or is that going to be a bad thing? Do you think, because of the skills that we're learning in games, like teamwork and all that kind of stuff, it's good, or it's going to be bad because we're distracted from reality?
Well, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's like, I think it's a mixed bag. So I know we're coming up in a time when gaming is starting to become the norm, but like, are y'all familiar with a woman named Shirley Curry?
No, I know the player.
Okay, so she's like the gamer grandma as far as the internet is
I've
concerned.
seen this. She plays Skyrim, right?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, awesome, because this woman who's 80 years old doesn't have much experience with computers. Now all of a sudden she's playing video games, and to her that feels satisfying, in terms of what she's doing with her retirement. It's making her more computer literate and stuff like that. So like, there's a positive effect in that, and it's kind of good that it's becoming normal and stuff like that. But I think with a lot of things, it really just kind of boils down to like all good things in moderation.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a thing that video games are becoming normal nowadays. Like, if anything, I think we should be stoked about it, because it's like with Skyrim, like the things we grew up on. So like Skyrim is now a VR game.
Yeah.
Like, we get to experience the things we loved as children in new ways as gaming matures. And I think that's going to be awesome for us in the future, because I really do think that will mean cheaper, more immersive entertainment options later. I think it's just on us to realize that we need to have some self-control, and either that be, I'm only going to spend $100 a month on video games, so like a AAA title and some DLC in a month, year, whatever, or I'm only going to give this game like 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
And just kind of manage it from there.
It should almost be like managing your diet or like exercise. It's like, it's good, but only if I do it this amount, right? And see,
I do horrible at both of those.
I'm okay with exercise. I just cannot diet properly. I just always it's the worst.
I think what I my worst like habit is like, if I eat bad, I would just try to make myself work harder physically, like in some way. Like if I'm late to class, or like let's say I had a burger in the morning, like for 7 a.m., like In-N-Out burger, let's go. And then it's like I have an 8 a.m. class. Instead of walking to it, even though I'm on time, I'll sprint. I'm gonna run off that damn burger right now, sprint all the way there. And then if I'm tired, I'm sweaty, I'm like, I worked it off.
That's better than what I do, where I just like I work out. I'm like, you know what? I deserve this 3 cheeseburgers. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Cheat day every day. Let's go.
bam,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sorry, what was the question? I totally
I
deviated into exercise.
don't know. Oh yeah, it was. Oh, I was analogizing. I don't know. Gaming.
There's something
to
about games
dieting.
being
Yeah.
good.
It's basically, as far as I can tell, it's just basically like now, is it a good thing that games are becoming a mainstream
Yeah.
compartment of
Oh,
life?
I think they became mainstream like 10 years ago, man. Like, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
well-
but I think it became mainstream for kind of the younger people. Like a lot of the people over 30 when like 10 years ago, so over like 40, I guess, probably don't play
Well-
as much games as the lower generation. So what happens when all of the younger people age up and everybody plays games?
Well, we're already seeing that though. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if y'all are aware of this yet, but like, I go to the gym once a day now, and twice
Look
a
at
week.
Mr.
I was not
Fitness
aware of that.
over here.
No,
Jesus
no.
Christ.
I,
Kidding,
this is
kidding.
just to illustrate a point. I'm not trying to like humble brag or
Uh-huh.
anything.
I believe you.
But like,
Yeah, keep going.
okay, so like my gym has the TVs on the wall or whatever. Again, another humble brag, I guess. But no, esports, guys, like esports
Fantastic.
is now on cable.
Oh, really?
And like, yes, like I swear to you, like I'll be running and that's what I'll watch. And it's normal now. It has the same production value as an NFL game. People, they talk to the players, all that jazz. So it's like,
Mhm.
I think we are starting to see it be normal. I think we're seeing what gaming is going to be, and I don't think that gaming is really going to change other than I think VR is like the last frontier for games, because like we already have like tangible in-world experiences like laser tag or what have you. But if you want to
Mhm.
play like a real shooter game,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
like VR is the final frontier, and now it's really just on us to kind of figure out how we're going to integrate it into our lives. That's just my thought.
All right, I think that's a good place to end it, guys. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was about to go into esports and stuff because I remember
Well, we did
Sorry,
esports
just-
podcast.
like 2 minutes. Hold up. Like, I remember when in high school when they were like esports is gonna be on ESPN, everybody lost their shit. They were like, "What?
Damn.
What's all these neckbeards are just gonna play League of Legends next to Kobe Bryant playing basketball?" And they were like, "No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. Oh God!" And then some people were like against it. I was indifferent about it. I wasn't exactly for it, but like a sport, in my opinion, just like anything that you could play. I don't know. Like it requires training to do. There's competitions for it. If you have a team, you're training with them, and then you get it done. And there's a certain amount of skill, needed amount of skill to do it. I think that counts as a sport. And just that, like, sure, Usain Bolt sprinting and then Korean dudes clicking like 20 miles an hour in league. I still think it's a sport, but some people just really weren't ready for that.
But yeah, we actually did.
Sorry.
We had a podcast. It was me, Ginkgo, and Karma. We did one.
Which is in the link below. Plug.
Oh, I don't want to put a link in the description. That's too much work.
Now Dom's
No,
a
I'll
liar.
put it there. But yeah, if you want to watch it, it was like it was in the season 0 of this, so it's like it's a early one. But yeah, we talked about esports there. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for today. So once again, I'm your host Brandon, and today I was joined by Dominiro
Hello.
and Seb.
Yeah, thank you.
And you can find these guys' information in the description and probably on the screen right now. Also on the screen you'll find a playlist containing all of this season's episodes. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye guys.
I love you.
Awesome. Love you. Bye. Mommy loves you.
Bye bye. Don loves you more.
Might cut that out. Let's see.
Okay. Fair enough.